Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our FMX Solutions webinar, Optimizing Major Incident Response, On-Call and Alerting using EasyVista and OpsGenie. I'm Kinsey, the Marketing Manager with FMX. Thank you for joining us. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenters, Kevin Patterson, who's an ITSM ESM solution consultant with us at FMX Solutions, and Debbie Rusolo, Director of Service Assurance with the Associated Press. Welcome. Before I hand things off to Kevin, I'll go through today's agenda. We'll have a brief intro followed by an audience poll, and then Kevin will do a demonstration on the EasyVista OpsGenie integration. Afterwards, Debbie will join us from the Associated Press for a fireside chat. Finally, the floor will be open to all of you to ask questions using the Q&A function here in Teams. You can add your question there at any time, and we will get to them at the end. We will round everything up around 12:45 and let you all get back to your busy days. Kevin, this is now in your very capable hands.
Thank you, Kinsey, and welcome all to our webinar today. Looking forward to spending the next 45 minutes with you all, helping you get to know the EasyVista and OpsGenie integration story. So before I kick it off, let's talk a little bit about FMX Solutions. For those that aren't aware, FMX is a world-class IT service management and enterprise service management solutions consultancy. We have over 14 years of ITSM experience, helping organizations with EasyVista as well as Atlassian maximize value out of their ITSM suites. So we bring a wealth of knowledge on ITSM best practices with ITIL 4, as well as going back to the ITIL v3 and v2 days as well. Now, we are all over North America with offices in the United States and Canada. So this allows us to have consultants that are working in your time zone, making it easy for us to engage with you and your teams when it comes to working on your ITSM initiatives. And of course, as many as you may already know, we are one of the only EasyVista Platinum partners and value-added resellers, and we have been for over 14 years. Now, Kinsey, let's go ahead and kick off that first audience poll. Okay, it's coming up on my side. It looks like how many event alerting tools do you have monitoring your infrastructure, applications, and services today? I'm interested to see the results that come back to this. We've actually been talking about this a lot internally. I don't want to, influence your answers, so I'll keep quiet until the results start coming in, but I've got an idea where these numbers are going to come in based on some of our customers that I've been talking to. Okay, so it looks like most of the poll results are coming in there. We'll actually go talk about that later on today, but it looks like the vast majority of you are coming in with 1 to 4. So we'll definitely talk about that later on in today's presentation. So now let's get in and talk about what you're all here to learn about, and that's, hey, how do I optimize our major incident response processes, leveraging on-call and alerting through EasyVista with the OpsGenie integration? So we're going to spend a good bit of time today kind of walking you through how EasyVista can take advantage of some of these modern incident response features within OpsGenie. Now, I don't want to assume everyone here knows what EasyVista is, although I'm sure most of you do. Let's spend a few minutes talking about EasyVista. So EasyVista is an organization that's been around for multiple decades, always focused on IT service management. Right now, they have an end-to-end service experience platform that is second to none. It really is an amazing platform for work to get done, whether you're in IT or a business unit like HR, facilities, or finance. Phenomenal technology to help you do your jobs better. In fact, it's not just me saying that, it's Gartner as well. Gartner's reviewed EasyVista, I think, over 14 times in their Magic Quadrant. So it's been a staple in that MQ for as long as I can remember. It's one of the only smaller vendors in this area that are bringing the modern technology into the platform. So for instance, when I looked at the technical landscape a couple of years ago, EasyVista was one of the first to utilize chatbots, virtual agents, and other technologies that were really at the bleeding edge of what was happening in IT service management. So kudos to the EasyVista team for putting together an amazing platform and keeping up with the modern challenges of service management. Now, let's talk a little bit about what OpsGenie is. I suspect many of you might not be as familiar with OpsGenie as you are with EasyVista. So OpsGenie is really all about modern IT incident response. So I see OpsGenie kind of being an incident response orchestration platform for IT operations and DevOps teams to come together. So what this means is think about how your organization operates. You've got a large stack of IT infrastructure. You've got developers that are developing applications on that infrastructure, and you've probably got a plethora of monitoring tools. In fact, it looked like most of you had up to one to four monitoring tools, and a few of you had even more than that that's monitoring your environment. I suspect that's just the ones you know about. Chances are there's more monitoring tools that other teams might be using that you don't have visibility of. So a lot of times these monitoring tools are very siloed. The team owns it, they use it, and they don't share that information with others, making it kind of difficult to get a full picture of what's going on with your services and your applications. So with OpsGenie being the orchestration platform for all these monitoring tools, it really does give you the ability to aggregate all these monitoring tool alerts into one place. Now, when you do that, it makes your operations response much more effective, allowing you to streamline getting all the cats herded, as they say, getting the right responders in place to start tackling that incident, restoring service much, much faster. In fact, OpsGenie integrates with lots of tools for collaboration, tools like Slack, Confluence, their Jira platform, and of course, we're here to talk about EasyVista. So when we talk about OpsGenie today, I want you to think of it as the single pane of glass for seeing all your alerting data in one place. Now, when we think of the things that happen during a major incident, and you've probably got a major incident process in your EasyVista today that kind of guides from the beginning of the incident to the end of the incident. There's lots of steps that happen. And within OpsGenie, we find there's some key areas that happen as well. So the pillars we'll talk about today in OpsGenie are going to be capture, alert, escalate, investigate, communicate, resolve, and then learn and improve. And of course, each one of these pillars has some activities that OpsGenie can do to make your incident response a bit better. So let's talk a bit about capture. So today, when we're looking at how OpsGenie interfaces with EasyVista, you're going to notice that I've got an alerting console that has auto-classified and auto-prioritize my alerts as they're coming in. So OpsGenie can have some logic built in that you configure to kind of take these thousands of alerts, denoise the non-critical ones, and then auto-classify and prioritize the ones that matter. This is going to help your site reliability engineers and your other technical resources not get alert fatigue. I used to monitor a SCOM interface about 15 years ago, and I would tell you I would get tens of thousands of alerts every single day on our infrastructure. And we weren't that large of a shop. We only had about, I would say, a few thousand servers throughout our entire server farm back in the day. So that plethora of alarms made it difficult to be able to understand what was important because I was constantly trying to find a needle in a haystack. OpsGenie's capture can help with alleviating that, making it where only the cream rises to the top and you're only chasing after the things that matter from an alert perspective. Now, after we've captured it, the next thing we're going to do is we need to alert and escalate to your staff. So some things that happen here in OpsGenie, we want to notify the incident manager, the individual that's going to be responsible for that incident from cradle to grave. We need to notify our responders. These are the teams or individuals that need to swarm this major incident to identify the issue and restore service. So we want to make sure we notify them as soon as possible. And of course, we want to notify any stakeholders, business users that need to be notified when the service is either down or performance is degraded. And OpsGenie is going to help with that by making that an automated thing that happens, not something you're going to spend 40 minutes looking for spreadsheets to find the right people. So alert, escalate, these key things are going to happen there. Our next pillar, once we've alerted the right people and got them all together, we need to investigate. So OpsGenie is going to give your team a great interface to investigate what's going on with that incident, with some great tools and some other helpful things to help you restore service quicker. It's going to give you a place to collaborate with many people. So the incident might be assigned to one incident manager, but there could be 10, 20 responders swarming the service to ensure we're getting it up as quickly as possible. So this collaboration is going to be key, whether it's within the OpsGenie interface or having it being done in other tools like Slack, Teams, or even EasyVista. We can help with that collaboration. Of course, documenting everything that's happening, making sure we're documenting what we've done on each step. OpsGenie has a great timeline. It's going to show you each documented thing you've done. So when you go back, you'll be able to refer to what steps were taken to restore service, to look at what you did, and maybe have some ideas for how you might improve that going forward on your next major incident. and of course, tools for troubleshooting. And at this stage, we're updating those stakeholders as well. One of the things you're going to see in OpsGenie is it's very easy to provide notifications, not just to responders pulling them in, but to get the stakeholders notified as well. Now, if we're doing all these things, we should see the incident be resolved. So at this point, we're capturing all the recovery information, we're verifying the incident's been resolved, we're resolving the incident, documenting it, and of course, updating the stakeholders. Now, at the very end of all this, OpsGenie is going to give you another tool, and it's the ability to capture your PIRs, your post-incident reviews, or your post-mortems about the things that went right during the incident, things that went wrong, where we can improve. So this is going to allow you to learn from your mistakes in the past, to share those amongst your technical teams, provide some reporting, and see how you're doing with KPIs as it relates to mean time to restore service, mean time to detect alerts. All that's going to be available within OpsGenie. So now that you've heard me explain a bit about OpsGenie, what I want to do next is kind of take you through a demonstration of how we built our integration to seamlessly bring together OpsGenie and EasyVista into one incident response application. So let me do this. I'm going to change gears for a minute here, and we're going to go over to my demo environment of OpsGenie. Take a look here. So what you're seeing on your screen now is my analytics page within OpsGenie. So this is where I see all the alert incident data coming into OpsGenie. So we'll refer back to this a bit later, but for now, I kind of want to walk you through some of these core things within OpsGenie that we talked about on that previous slide. And the first there is going to be that capture, that capturing the different alerts as they're happening. So out of the box, OpsGenie is going to give you over 200, I think it's like 225 to date, pre-built integrations to the very most common monitoring tools or alerting tools that are on the marketplace today. And they're adding new ones every month. So if you don't happen to see yours here, just know that there's a good chance you could see it here in the very near future. So lots of applications can seamlessly be updated right to OpsGenie with either a unidirectional integration or a bi-directional integration. They have both of these available through these different connectors, depending on what you're looking to accomplish there. So this is really the foundation of being able to get that capture done by connecting all your monitoring and alerting tools and then bringing them into one place. And that one place is going to be your alert console. So here we're seeing all alerts that I'm authorized to see on my team. There is some security built in that makes sure I only see the alerts that I need to see my job, to do my job function here. And I've got a few that are coming in the environment right now. Now, my demo instance happens to be connected to one of our test instances of site 24/7. So here I see a couple of alerts that are spawned from our 24/7 environment. And here we've got, looks like a server that's down. So here I can go drill into the alert and see that entire payload from that alert body. Here I see the reason, I can see everything that alerting tool is passing over to OpsGenie. Now at this point, I've got some options. Maybe I'm looking at this going, it is an issue. I don't think it's a big one just yet. I can acknowledge this by hitting the acknowledge button. This is going to tell OpsGenie not to go out and page all the text on my team. I've looked at it, I've acknowledged it, and I think we're okay. And in fact, if we go back to that main console, we're going to see here that Kevin acknowledged this. Now, the reason why I do this is because as alerts are coming in, there's a who's on call area of the screen here. And for this example, the platform support team has an on-call rotation. So if after a few minutes, nobody would have acknowledged the alert, it's going to start paging out on the on-call schedule. So OpsGenie has built-in logic to filter through these on-call schedules. You can have multiple schedules per team. Perhaps I've got a rotation 1, maybe rotation 2 in case Pierre Olivier is not available. I can have a second rotation. After 5 or 10 minutes, we go on rotation number 2. And if that doesn't respond, we can then escalate to the manager. So they have a full escalation engine within OpsGenie to handle those escalations for you and for your team. Now, going back to the alert, let's take a look at one of these other alerts here. Let's pretend that we're looking at this and we say, hey, this might actually be a major issue here. We need to actually begin our major incident process. So in OpsGenie, that's as simple as selecting this particular incident, or this alert, and then going to our incident option. It's going to say create a new incident or associate to an existing. Now, for our example today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to associate this alert to a brand new incident we're going to create here in OpsGenie. Now, I can go through and fill out all the fields manually, which I usually would, but for time here on our webinar, I'm going to use a pre-built template that I have. So we're going to kind of go ahead and log a major incident for our billing service being down. Now, when I do that template, it's going to pre-populate a lot of fields, so I don't have to manually put these details within the incident record. So here it's giving me the summary, it's giving me the impacted service. I can put some additional tags in. It's going to initiate that major war room for the incident. And then I can hit next on my wizard here. And this is going to say, well, who wants to be the responder team? So notice how platform support was auto put in there. So the billing service has teams that own that service. And in this case, that team was platform support. So it was actually added in there for me. If I want to add additional responders with this incident, perhaps I want to add somebody else that's in my environment. Maybe I want Fred to get involved in our major incident here. I'll go ahead and select Fred and next. And now when we create this incident record, Fred's going to be brought in from the very beginning to help me begin fighting this incident. So here I see the incident was successfully created, and I can verify that by going to my incident tab. And there we see, just created momentarily ago, that billing service is down error. So let's drill in and see what's created for me here in OpsGenie for this major incident. So right away, we drill in, we can see some key information. We see right here, the impacted service is billing. So we know this does impact our billing service. And going down a bit further, I want to gloss over investigate for just a minute and talk about the extra properties. There's an extra property here that says EasyVista ticket number. Now, this is the first indication of our integration at work. What's happening behind the scenes is we've used some business rules in EasyVista to query OpsGenie, and when we see a new incident that matches the criteria we're looking for, we're going to create that record in EasyVista that I'll show you in a few minutes, and we're going to link that back to OpsGenie so I can actually communicate the major milestones from this incident back to EasyVista, and even take an EasyVista record and update OpsGenie from that record as well. So that's being done through the extra property, logging the EasyVista ticket number here. Now, going back up to my toolbox here, I've got some tools I can use and Fred can use while he's swarming with me to investigate what might be wrong with a billing service. So when I select investigate, we can actually go through here and look at what's gone on through our CI/CD pipeline. So OpsGenie can integrate to several different CI/CD pipeline tools for those of you that have continuous delivery practices at your organization. This would allow you to see your deployments that are coming in from whether it be Git, it could be Bitbucket, Jenkins, and I think 4 or 5 other CI/CD pipelines. You can connect right to OpsGenie to see what's going on. So here I can go through and I can see all the successful deployments, and I do see we did have what looks to be a failed deployment that happened earlier. Now I can select that and see some details here. I can even drill into that particular CI/CD pipeline and see the details there. And what I can do, if I have rights, I could redeploy that package and try to recover this. Or I can select this deployment and I can add that as a potential cause. So this is, we can go through and start documenting what might have caused this particular major incident. Now, there's other tools in OpsGenie I wanted to point out to you. The first up here is the Incident Command Center. I mentioned that before. It was auto-created here. Here is how I would get to it. So if you want to swarm your tickets, you've got a couple different ways to do that on OpsGenie. The first is their Incident Command Center. So when I select that, it's going to bring me up to an Incident Command Center. Sorry, you're going to see my mug twice on the screen. Now I'll turn off the camera. But when I enter the session there, we're actually going to see myself and others joining. We'll be able to share our screens and communicate and collaborate all through the OpsGenie Incident Command Center. Now, OpsGenie also integrates to other collaboration tools, like for Zoom being one of the primary ones that we see. So you could use a Zoom room instead of an OpsGenie room to capture this information. But I show you this because I just want you to know that when you do these different things, you do in fact log when these things are happening. So every single thing that happens during our major incident response is going to be here. When I went in the war room, when somebody joined the war room, everything is logged. In fact, even creating a Slack channel for us to swarm here, that is going to be logged as well. So I can go ahead and auto create a Slack channel, and we can even go over and take a look at that Slack channel in flight here as we're working on it. So we see all those critical issues for that major incident here. And we can see there's an ICC, that's that Swarm Command Center going on here that I can easily get to. And even from this console, I'm able to add additional responders. Maybe I want to invite others on the teams to get involved. I can start typing their names here and quickly bring them into the conversation. And of course, I can do other things too, like adding stakeholders. I can resolve the incident. Maybe I want to upgrade or downgrade the priority. All that can be done from OpsGenie or from the Slack interface. So a lot of great collaboration can happen there. So let's pause there for just a minute. So we talked a lot about OpsGenie. Let's talk a little about EasyVista. So while we were going through and doing that inside of OpsGenie, it's actually synchronizing with EasyVista. And here we can see some EasyVista records that are being logged here on the right-hand side of my screen. So if I were to select this one up top, we're going to see the EasyVista record that was created through this integration. So I can start to see some of these details here that's sent over via the OpsGenie integration. So if I go over to the details tab, you're going to see all the key details from that incident, things like the link back to the incident, when it was created. I can see the impacted services, the responder teams. I can even see the responding users that are actually currently fighting that fire for that major incident. Now, for those of you that are using your CMDB inside of EasyVista, we can even synchronize to your services and your applications. Here, we've actually looked up the billing service CI for that billing application and attached that to the incident record in EasyVista. So within EasyVista, I can do quite a lot. I can actually go back to my activity panel, and I can even log activities. I can do pretty much activities to update the record, as well as even finish or close that incident here. Let's see, we are working on it too. Believe we have it fixed. And I can come here and I can even go ahead and finish, transfer, update that. And whatever I do here is also going to update right back to the the OpsGenie interface here. So here I can put the root cause in, I can finish, and when I close this particular incident or add comments to this incident, within about 5 or 10 seconds, if we go back to the OpsGenie incident and we refresh, I suspect to see that incident is currently in a closed status. So again, we talk about that ability to bring things together, whether you're working in OpsGenie as an incident responder, or whether you're working at the service desk or one of the other teams in EasyVista, you'll be able to add comments, see comments, even update the record and closing it. We can have different people have different rights, so you're able to have some control here, or maybe certain people shouldn't be able to close and others can. We can easily control that from our integration, so only the right people have the ability to do that particular type of activity. So to kind of recap for a moment, we've gone through, we've logged that incident coming from an alert. We've gone ahead and got the right resources involved. We've swarmed the issue, we found the fix, and we've closed that major incident. Now, the next thing that I would recommend we look at doing is it's the learning from this, right? So many of you I've spoken to that are customers of ours at EasyVista are in fact doing some form of post-incident review or response review. So we highly encourage you to either do that within OpsGenie or do that in EasyVista. Now, if you do it in OpsGenie, you'll have an experience like this where the template's going to lay out for lead up, fault, detection, root cause, lessons learned. So you'll be able to take these templates and populate with your information. And of course, there's statuses here, published, draft, and closed for when these are completed. Now, for our integration, we can take this PIR and we can then move it over to EasyVista as an attachment to that major incident record, or we can even create a knowledge article with this information. So from a known error perspective, you know what was done with this particular incident record. Going down a bit further in OpsGenie, there's an attachment once you've completed your PR that brings over data from the incident. So if we hit this button here, it launches the report that shows us the incident duration. We see how much time was open. We see the number of associates involved that closed it. I would get all that information attached right to this particular incident post-incident review record right within OpsGenie. So it's a great way to kind of see how you responded. Look for any bottlenecks. Maybe certain responders or teams take longer to get engaged. Perhaps it's a capacity issue or another type of issue you can address to ensure a faster incident response. In fact, when we've been interviewing our customers, we find that the longest lag time in an incident isn't the troubleshooting or the trying to find a fix. it's getting to the right resources. And OpsGenie can easily help get those people on the call within minutes. And if they're not available, paging the next person on our team that can then join. It really is a great solution to get that in front of the right people at the right time to restore that service. So let's kind of do some wrap up on that. So we saw how the capture worked in OpsGenie, and we talked about being able to ingest an alert from over 200 out of the box integrations. We can go into more detail one-on-one on how to denoise alerts through the filtering and aliasing technology we have in OpsGenie. So why have 10,000 alerts on your single pane of glass when you can filter it down to maybe a few dozen or a few hundred that are only the ones that your team would care about? OpsGenie is easily able to handle that through drag and drop configurations, not through complex coding. Alerting and escalating. I briefly showed you an on-call schedule, but on-call schedules have routing rules, escalation policies, so you can notify that right person. In fact, having used OpsGenie myself at my previous employer, I can tell you that when our on-call schedules were utilized, it was very helpful for getting the right person engaged, not because I was first in the on-call schedule, but because I had multiple rotations where that person was already busy working an issue. It then paged to me or somebody else on my team, and I could jump in on that. So that way, that person wasn't just not replying; it would roll over to the next team member. And this on-call schedule was super flexible to allow me to configure that for my team. Now, that investigation and communication here, again, swarming the incident in that command center and Slacker teams is probably the most common method we see organizations with OpsGenie swarm an incident. But again, bringing other tools too. You've got the same information over in EasyVista on that incident record to see all those different things that are happening. We're constantly synchronizing those two things together. So you'll be able to swarm this no matter where you're at, whether you're in the OpsGenie record, a Slack, or even an EasyVista, you're all working on the same thing, able to see the same information front and center on your screen. One overlooked thing that I think would provide maximum value to your teams if you're using OpsGenie, talk to your developers and find out what their CI/CD pipeline tools are. Most common I find GitLab and Bitbucket, but there's lots of other supported methods too, where you can bring in that CI/CD pipeline and be able to see those deployments as they're happening. We're finding this is not a scientific poll, just us asking around and helping people that I would say 7 out of 10 major incidents these days seem to be more software related than they are infrastructure related. So I'm not sure if that's your experience, but if that is, I highly recommend integrating those tools so you have full visibility of those pipelines to help your troubleshooting go a little bit faster. And of course, I can't say it enough, communicate with the stakeholders throughout the entire life cycle of the incident. Letting them know there's an incident's great, and of course you probably are today, but keeping them updated on major milestones that are happening is key. So OpsGenie can help with that, ensuring they're up to date as you're going through and trying different things. We can constantly communicate. You might be using other technology for this as well, like maybe a status page, or maybe you built an EasyVista service app that actually kind of has all your major incident details. OpsGenie could be used to potentially populate that page with that information as well. So lots of great things you can do to communicate with those stakeholders. And of course, resolve. So we want to resolve incidents as quickly as possible, of course. We've got the tools to do it within OpsGenie. So one of the things highly encouraged as part of that resolve process is make sure you either tick that button for requiring a postmortem or have your teams in the routine of doing a postmortem. And honestly, I like to have a due date to mine, no more than 7 days, because chances are your team is not doing one major incident a month. You're probably doing quite a few that month. So they might kind of run together. So setting a shorter due date ensures that when they're putting their feedback into the PAR, it's going to be the right information, and they're not going to be scratching their head wondering if is this that major incident or the other major incident. I don't recall. So the faster they get it done, the better quality that document's going to be. And then finally, learning and improving from that, right? So again, you can run analytics and reporting from OpsGenie to get your true metrics for things like mean time to detect and mean time to resolve. So those are two key metrics you should probably be measuring right now yourself if you're not. And then you're able to easily visualize that by team, by group, by alert type, by monitoring tool. It really does let you slice and dice this lots of different ways to ensure you're getting to the crux of the issue you might be having with your alerting and incident response capabilities there. So With that, I'm going to go ahead and pause for a minute, and I want to welcome to our conversation Debbie with Associated Press. Her and I are going to have a little fireside chat. Debbie, are you on with us?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to have you with us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit here and have a fireside chat. Now, I'm calling in from Florida, so it's a bit too hot for me to have hot cocoa right now. It's 75 degrees where I'm at, so I'll have some lukewarm tea as we're sitting here and shooting the breeze about OpsGenie and EasyVista. So, if you don't mind, I love to ask my first question. You ready?
Ready?
Awesome. So, Debbie, prior to OpsGenie, how did your team and your team's Associated Press respond to a major incident or an outage? Can you give us a day in the life of that at your organization?
Sure. Well, like most of you on the call, we had multiple monitoring tools. I will say more than 4. So the focus for the last 3 years has been to get rid of all of these old antiquated tools. A lot of the tools would send alerts in email, text. We really didn't. We did have a central console, wasn't the greatest. So what we did is we've been able to reduce that sprawl down to 2 tools. In parallel, we implemented OpsGenie. So that's been a huge help. But prior to OpsGenie, it was a very manual process. We have to physically pick up a phone and call 1 person, 2 people, 10 people, 15 people. It could take 40 minutes to get somebody on a bridge, which, as we all know, just takes away the time that you need to troubleshoot. Since OpsGenie, we call people within minutes. We have a whole procedure in place. Some of it's still manual. We're working through that. Most of it automated, where we can get everyone on a bridge within minutes. Huge time saver. Absolutely huge time saver now. It's worked well. It's still got some kinks we need to work out, but overall, we have been able to reduce major incidents from potentially 2-3 hours to less than an hour, some cases minutes. So I would highly recommend OpsGenie. It's worked very, very well for us.
That's great to hear, Deb. And in fact, I think what you said there about the average time to get people engaged being 40 minutes, that is a common theme that I've heard over and over again from people that I'm talking to. It's that initial engagement that is really hurting their response time or the restoration of service time because they can't get the right people on quick enough. So I'm happy to hear you taking that 40 minutes and got it way down to minutes instead of that. That's a fantastic job you and your team has done there. So kudos to you on that one. That actually kind of leads me into another question. So it sounds like since you are using OpsGenie, some of your teams are using OpsGenie, and I know from meeting with you before that a lot of your support teams use EasyVista. How difficult did you find it, to keep everyone informed and up to date, about the life cycle of the incident? So some folks were probably focused on OpsGenie recently, some are on EasyVista, some might just be monitoring their email or maybe even a collaboration tool. How difficult did you find it to get everyone on the same page to know what was going on?
Because it was a manual process, it was very difficult. And sometimes what would happen is the OpsGenie alert would fire off, but the EasyVista ticket was not created, or it was created too late. We had already gotten everyone on the call. Upper management was involved. They knew what was going on, but the ticket that was supposed to go out to staff never went out. That's been a huge issue. So now with this automation, it's basically in sync. Everyone knows, and we can keep everybody up to date on what is going on. So it's worked very well.
Oh, awesome. So I'm glad to hear you're liking the integration thus far. So what I want to talk to you about next is, so you're just kind of getting started out with this integration between OpsGenie and EasyVista. How do you envision this, changing your team's experience going forward with that major incident response? So we're starting to kind of get deeper and deeper into the integration, doing a few extra things. So where are you seeing it going, I guess? How do you see your team's experience improving over the next, say 3 months or so? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, right now, like I'm sure most people, we have limited staff. Usually we have 1 person on duty who monitors the OpsGenie console. So right now they have a probably 20-page task list of everything that they need to do. It's mostly manual. This will automate a lot of that. which will reduce their workload, which will allow them to focus on assisting with troubleshooting the issue. That will be the goal. Automation is key to assist our support teams. The more we can automate, the more they can focus on the issue at hand and not working on repeatable, mundane tasks. And that's the ultimate goal.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm really interested to hear your feedback on this. So you're currently using our first iteration of the OpsGenie EasyVista integration package. So is there anything in particular you're looking to see in our next iteration of this, or V2? We've talked a lot, one-on-one together, but I'd be interested if you would share what you're looking to do additionally that we haven't configured yet in your environment. Would you mind sharing a few stories or ideas you have for this integration going forward?
Well, I'd like to see a few more things in terms of automation. Right now, because of some of the workarounds we have in place, because of some issues with monitoring and projects, right now we have it currently set to a manual process where the person who's on duty goes in and they will click a button, if you will, and it will kick off the procedure. Within the next couple of months, I want to get rid of that. I want it to be automated, but we have some things to work out on our end before we can do that. Also, status page. I'd like to see that down the road. That would be huge for us. It would integrate with a lot of the self-service capabilities that we've just built out externally for our customers. I'd like to see if we can get that in sync. Possibly the internal self-service that they're looking to build, get the status page in sync with that as well. So customers could go take a look at that, both internal and external. Honestly, I'd have to really look into it, play around with it a little bit more, see what comes to mind. But those are two of the top things right now.
Awesome. Well, so Deb, those were my questions before we wrapped up our fireside chat. Did you have any questions for me?
No, I don't. I mean, everything I've seen so far, I'm really liking it. It looks easy to use. Obviously, the team will have to get trained on it and just see what they can do. See if they have any questions. They're in this every day. See if there's maybe some modifications that they may want to see that I'm not seeing because I'm not in here every day working through it.
Awesome. Well, Deb, thanks for joining today. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and helping as a great design partner for us to actually go through and build this integration. So thank you so much for your work before with me, and then joining me today on this webinar. Really appreciate having you join us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was Deborah and our conversation and fireside chat. So I guess at this point, we'd love to hear from you in the audience. So maybe do a Q&A if you're interested in what you saw, or if there's any questions you had about today's content, happy to take those questions and answer them as best I can. So Kinsey, do we have any questions coming in from the audience yet?
We have 3 sitting here in review. I didn't want to publish them while we were chatting, but if anybody has any more, feel free to drop them in the Q&A discussion panel. So the first is, we looked at the OpsGenie integrations list and see all but one of our monitoring tools listed as available integrations. Without a connector from OpsGenie, is it still possible to bring in monitoring information from that tool?
So in short, yes, it is. So you've got, I think it's over 220 integrations that you can choose from today, like I showed on the screen briefly. But of course, there might be a new tool or a tool that hasn't been pre-built with an out-of-the-box configuration. All is not lost. So OpsGenie has given us what's called a generic REST connector that we can use to connect to any REST endpoint. So we're able to get that information from that alerting tool and bring that into OpsGenie. Now, if that tool supports it, we could even send a webhook back to close that alert as well. That's all done through the native OpsGenie configuration interface. So even if they do not have a out-of-the-box connector, we can still make that happen for you and show you how to build your own as well. It's not as complicated as you would think. In fact, if you look on the connectors for OpsGenie, you'll probably notice that EasyVista is not there. We actually had to build that ourselves. And what you saw today was done all through FMX Solutions know-how to put these 2 solutions together.
Great, thanks, Kevin. We have 2 here that are somewhat similar, so I'm going to read them together. So first is, how fast is the implementation? And then the second is, we have 5 monitoring tools here, at least 5 that I know of, and a few dozen teams. We currently do not have a tool like OpsGenie. How difficult or how long will it take to implement a tool like this?
Okay. Great question. So the first one, like, I'm thinking going from nothing to what you saw today. Typically, it's not as complex or as complicated as you might think. You've obviously, if you're using EasyVista, you've already implemented an ITSM solution. I'm here to tell you it's nowhere near as complicated to that. If I'm drawing a parallel, an ITSM reimplementation is a root canal, and deploying a DevOps tool like OpsGenie is kind of like going in for a checkup and getting your teeth cleaned. Honestly, I worked on simple implementations where it was 2 teams or 3 teams, 3 monitoring tools, and we were done in less than a few days. I've worked on very complicated OpsGenie implementations that were hundreds of teams, 70 plus integrations for those teams. Believe it or not, that only took about 35 days. So it's not as complicated as you would think. As an average, I always say, if you've got, let's say, an average of 50 teams that need OpsGenie, and you've got, say, 10 connectors or 15 connectors, we can easily get you up and running anywhere from 20 to 30 days of effort. Of course, I'd be willing to sit with you and do a more formal scoping exercise to go through and give you a more accurate time frame, but this is nowhere near as invasive as doing an IT service management implementation. Much lighter weight, much quicker, and much easier to realize value quickly. So now, and you don't have to do it all at once. So let's say you've got those 50 teams total, maybe you just want to roll it out to 5 teams or 10 teams and just their services and tools that they support. That could be your first phase. Then you can grow with intent and do a second phase. So there's lots of ways to get started. We're flexible. We can help you find the right path for you if you are interested in going down this journey, like Associated Press went down with OpsGenie. Any other
Thanks,
questions?
Kevin. We've got one final one. We use an internal wiki page that has our on-call details for all our teams. We find it helpful to see who is on call before the next shift starts. Is there a report or a way in OpsGenie to see everyone that is on call for all teams?
Oh, so yes, let me see if we go back to OpsGenie on that main page, who's on call. So this is, I can see the on-call schedules that I'm on, so I can see who's on call with the teams that I'm currently on. If I want to see all schedules, I'd be able to see that here. So at a glance, you're going to be able to see that. Now, remember, thinking back to the presentation, OpsGenie is automatically going to assign these folks to the incident when their teams respond because they're on call. So, that's automated. But if you just want to go through and see, just for, I'm starting my shift, who am I going to collaborate with? This is a great place to go to see who's on call. And if you drill on, you can see who's on call next as well. So you're going to have all that accessible right at your fingertips, right from the OpsGenie interface. Best of all, you don't have to build it in your wiki. It auto rotates through these individuals without you having to do anything once you've set it up. So very, very easy to use. Okay.
And that's it for questions, Kevin.
That is it. Outstanding. So I think that brings us to kind of wrapping up here. So if you'd like to learn more, if this was kind of like, kind of whetting your appetite and you're interested in how you can bring some other technologies to improve your EasyVista incident response, come find us. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can visit our website, fmxsolutions.com, or you can reach my sales team at sales@fmxsolutions.com. I just want to say it was a pleasure to be here with Associated Press with you today. Really enjoyed getting to talk to you all and hear your questions and just show you what OpsGenie and EasyVista can do. So Kenzie, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.